Hi, I'm Cindy Wilson, and this is Home Sweet Home, Craft Room Creations. In this video, we're going to look at making a dupe from something from Pottery Barn. Recently, I was looking through the online catalog and saw so many pieces that I would love to have, but I'm looking at the prices at them and I'm just not seeing that happen in my world. Anywhere from, I believe, $197. The most expensive one I looked at was $459, I believe. There was a couple on the site that I liked, like the pickle jar one, first of all. 24 inches tall, I believe it was. I love the pattern on the outside. Then there was another one, it was the texture that I liked. So I decided, instead of just copying one specific jug, the plan was going to be to take two elements of two different jugs and combine them into one. So off to the thrift store I went, and look what I found. Perfect size, perfect price. $4, you cannot go wrong with redoing something like this. And the way I looked at it is, even if it turned out horrible, the price was worth it. I have no problem paying $4 for something like this. I needed some way to create the pattern on the side of the jug on the olive jar. It had one thicker, kind of a wavy line at the top, and then two smaller ones at the bottom. My plan was that unravel the craft cord from Dollarama, by the way, and adhere that to the side of the jar, and then just place plain old $4 cord from Dollarama. Again, was going to be the was going to be what I would use for the narrower raised areas on the jug. Easy peasy, get out the glue gun, do some unraveling, and away I went. I considered at one point keeping two twisted strands together and using that as my top raised area or pattern, or not quite sure what I would call it. Thought better of it in the end and decided that just the one alone was going to be what I wanted. It wasn't supposed to be perfectly, geometrically, whatever you want to call it, straight, perfect. I think this was supposed to be, I think they referred to it as handcrafted. Once everything was attached to the jar, I picked up some Elmer's white glue and decided to coat the top rope with that. It was kind of loose fitting because of the fibers. Only the lower ones that were next to the jar kind of adhered to it, and I didn't want it to be a problem later on, and I thought this would kind of make the rope a little more rigid, a little more permanent. And so yeah, one thin coat of Elmer's white glue all across the top of that top rope piece, or all around, sorry, the top rope piece. Once the glue was dry, about 2 hours later I think it was, I picked it up, checked just to make sure that there were no loose cords anywhere on the jar, grabbed some white acrylic paint, then some linen acrylic paint, and I made my own concoction to get a textured surface for the urn, vase, vessel, whatever you want to call it. It was basically half a cup of white acrylic paint and half a cup of, maybe a little bit less on the linen color. And I started out, I believe, with 1 tablespoon of baking soda, mixed it all together, and started painting it on it, but thinking that it was not as thick and as textured as it was going to need to be. I added in another tablespoon of baking soda, and that brought the texture up to where I thought it should be. For the second layer, I ended up using, I think it was supposed to be a stenciling brush. It came in a stencil brush kit that I'd picked up at Dollarama. Here we go again, right? And it kind of had the texture of a plastic pot scrubber, if you can kind of relate to that. And that is what I used for my second coat of paint to give it a nice or easy, light, textured surface with no muss, no fuss, and basically I stayed clean for a change. Usually I end up with paint all over me. But because of that little plastic brush that I just kept adding the paint mixture to, and yeah, it came out really well. You have to forgive me, I'm a little squeaky today. I think I'm catching a cold. So I'll be quiet for a while and just let you watch. For the last part of the painting, I let it dry really well first, the cream colored, by just putting it by an oscillating fan, not directly in front of it, but off to the side of it kind of thing. And I think it took probably about an hour and a half before I impatiently went and got it and picked up some, I believe it was burnt umber is the oranger color. The yellow is vintage mustard, I think it's called. It's a chalk paint. The burnt umber is acrylic paint, and the chocolate paint as well is an acrylic paint. And like I say, with the stencil brush, I just grabbed it, very lightly dry brushing the three colors into the vase. While the vase was drying again, I decided I was going to break down and I was going to do the beads on a string with the tassel. I've seen everybody do them, and of course they've got them on Pottery Barn, so yeah, I caved in and I made my own version. The Pottery Barn ones, I believe $93 they wanted for them, and my little cheap beads, maybe all total beads, stain, and I think that was all I need. Oh, sorry, the jute cord, which came with the beads, by the way, so that doesn't even count as an expense. And yeah, I broke down. I did. I made myself a string of beads, just like Pottery Barn's, but mine were better. And my string beads are better because maybe at most they cost $5. I used red mahogany for the gel stain. Oh, sorry, this one is not a gel stain. This is Minwax. And like I had done the beads for the carrots in the previous video, just toss the beads in a container and put in the stain with them, swished them around a little bit, and then dumped them out. This time though, however, like the carrots that I had done with the acrylic paint, I used my heat gun to dry them. Not a good plan with this, by the way. If anybody's trying this or going to try this, don't use the heat gun. The wax is extremely flammable and you're going to get more than you bargained if you start doing something like that. My solution was just to kind of blot off the excess on them and then put them onto a tray off to the side, and they went in front of the oscillating fan for about an hour, just so that they were okay enough to touch and I didn't end up with wax all over my hands. When the beads were dry, I strung them up on that free jute cord that came with the beads, did a little tassel at the bottom, tied it off, and we were good to go. Well, let me tell you, I am head over heels over this urn. It turned out so amazing, and even up close, if I'd done a bit closer shots, you would never know this is not what it was originally. As far as I'm concerned, absolutely amazing piece. Definitely looking forward to making another one or something similar down the line, and my beads look pretty amazing too, I think. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I appreciate it. Your opinion really does matter. Just want to say thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, stick around to the end. There will be links to other videos that I have posted. Maybe you'll like those too, who knows? And also, if you enjoyed it, please consider liking, subscribing, watching more videos.